What's going on? Good to see you. So, as you saw in the intro there, I was out in the scooter and it runs great until it doesn't. So, I've been working on the scooter for the last couple weeks. Finally got it wrapped up. It's still missing some parts. I still am waiting on a couple bolts. Um, and when I say waiting, it means I just haven't bothered to order them yet. They're just on my list that I have over here to get ordered. But she's about 80, 90% complete. Good enough to run, right? Good enough to run. But I've discovered a problem that when I'm on wide open throttle and then I come to a stop, it'll sit there and idle. But then as I begin to take off again, it's like there's no power. Just won't even, take power, won't take fuel. So I've got some kind of fuel delivery issue. Either I've got some kind of vacuum leak somewhere, or I've got uh, maybe the vent and the cap is plugged off and restricting it. So at this point, who knows? I kind of did some diagnosis work with Grok with AI, and it kind of pointed me in some directions. So we'll see. We'll see what it is, and we'll get it tuned up because it's fun as all get out. It really is. And I'm not a small guy. Scooters normally, especially small scooters, they seem to work best when there's not much weight involved. the I'm not light at all, and I really like small bikes. I like big bikes too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm looking for a bigger bike right now. Whether I'm going to buy a new or I'm going to buy something used to fix up, I haven't quite decided yet. But I am looking for something, uh, significantly larger. But small bikes are just stupid fun. They really are, especially little scooters, because they're just the essence of riding. It's two wheels, the balance, the steering, the brakes, and just throttle. You don't need to worry about shifting. You don't have to worry about nothing. It's just gas and go. Just gas and go. And they're so small you can put them anywhere. They're nonstop squirrely. No matter how you ride them, you just feel like you're just riding on the edge. So they're just like an adventure at all times, even when going 5 miles an hour in a parking lot. You just feel like ooh, because the way they handle and steer, you're constantly doing this number right here. You're never going perfectly straight. And so I just absolutely love the little things. Then I've got my Trail 125. It's a small bike too. While it's a bit faster, it'll only do. I think I touched 50 miles an hour on it the other day when I had the wind behind my back and slight downhill. You know, I mean, it's barely good for 40 miles an hour on a typical day with me on it. So it's not. I mean, that's not what it's built for, though. And I'm totally okay with that. I really am. I didn't buy it because I knew it was going to be fast. I bought it because I knew it would be fun, and it is. It's small, similar to the scooter in that you can put it anywhere almost. Uh, you just park it wherever you want. Nobody really cares. And it's just a good time. Plus, with that Trail 125, it's got the whole rack on the back, which is nice because you can throw stuff in there. And I've actually got a milk crate now put on the back, so now I can just dump stuff in there and go, and not have to worry about strapping anything down or anything like that. On a side note, I'm actually looking at doing like Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever. I'm going to get me like what do they call it? One of those insulated boxes. So I'm looking at getting one of those and throwing on the back. And, who knows? Probably film while I'm riding. But, this town's not huge and there's people doing it. And I figure, why not? Just on the weekends. And with the way that bike is one delivery and gas is paid for like the next few days. So why not, right? Not that it's going to make me rich or make any serious money, but good for something and an excuse to go out and ride when you got nothing else to do in a tiny town. But I love small bikes. I think they're a hoot. I know a lot of people avoid them, especially here in the States, just because of the hot size thing. And for many people, I know they don't like have multiple bikes. They buy like a bike for a purpose, and that's what they're going to do, and so be it. But I myself just like to ride. I really do. I've had several weird different bikes over the years. Um, there was even a couple points in my life where the only vehicle I had was a motorcycle. For I think I was 18. The only thing I had for a good year plus was a what was that, a 1994 Kawasaki Vulcan 500, the old parallel twin, which that was a ripping little motor, by the way. So, and I love the snot out of that bike. It would get me just under 100 miles an hour. Of course, I was lighter then too, but I had a good time on that little bike, a little cruiser wannabe thing. And then during my early days when me and my wife got married, the only thing I had for about a year was a Kawasaki KLR 250, the old model, and that thing was a good time. Not as fast as the Vulcan 500, obviously, but it got me around town. It did what I needed to do, and it was super fuel efficient. And considering the time that we were in our lives, it was all about being cheap and broke. And my wife drove the car, I drove the bike, and that would included. I didn't ride all the time in inclement weather, but there were several times I got caught in like the rain and stuff. So that's just what it was, and I'm good with that. It's part of the adventure of riding. But I do. I just enjoy riding for riding's sake, and I know most people do. But I almost don't care what I ride sometimes. I've had a CX 500 that I kind of chopped up a little bit. Had a NC 700X, which was a great bike, but it had the worst seat I've ever been on in my life, which is ultimately why I sold it. So I don't know what Honda was thinking there, but they royally screwed that seat up. And then also just the way that engine was is it just was not conducive to the highways out here. For whatever reason, that's a 700, but when into a headwind and even when I was tucked, it could barely keep at highway speeds. It was the weirdest thing. But it was power there. You just had to be like, it was so weird. I don't know. It was like it was this weird, and I know it was a weird bike to start with. It had like an engine, car style type engine. Made a lot of good low end torque, but suffered on the high horsepower end. So just a different animal is what that thing was. And I kept it for a little while and sold it. I've had a couple other bikes here and there. Nothing really super long term. Um, I just kind of have fun with them, and then stuff's always come up in my life. I sell them for some reason, whether I'm moving or married or other life events, or the bike just doesn't fit. But regardless, I just enjoy riding. And so I just have gone through a lot of different bikes. And do I know what I actually want? Not at all. I think I want an adventure bike just because of the more upright kind of dirt bike seating, which is actually pretty comfortable. But then I think, man, maybe I'd like one to get one of those Honda Hornets, the CB750s that they got, and which those are a pretty sweet bike, by the way. Or I've been looking at an SV650, a Suzuki, for a long time. I've loved those bikes since they came out. They're just a great bike, just a great bike. And it's got the true V-twin sound versus the parallel twins that are all over the place now sound. But I like small bikes too, and I try to give them some time and try to give them some love. And that's what I'm doing with the 125 and the scooter. This 50 right here, this XR50 I got behind me, this is my next project. I actually think I'm going to do a big boy kit on it, or whatever they call them. I don't even know if they call them or do that stuff anymore. I've been out of the game now for so long, but used to be you could get big forks and big swing arms and suspension, bigger wheels and tires, but still have the little tiny 50 motor in them. So I'm going to look into doing that because I just think that'd be fun and hilarious. But anyways, don't be scared of small bikes. Uh, I exceed the max weight on that scooter, and I'm borderline max weight on that Trail 125, and I'm not gargantuan. but I'm not small either. And even then, I still go out and I just have a good time on them because it's like, why not? And if they break, they were cheap, and I'll just go find something else. So, anyways, hope you have a good time riding.